Rev it up! Unleash my fucking dick!
And we're demonetized. Well lads, we made it. We're 7 months out from City of the Wolves teaser trailer at EVO, and we are finally seeing more of the game. Just a couple days ago, the SNK World Championships wrapped up, which was a freaking awesome event. Would have liked to get absolutely sloshed on the Raging Storm and Power guys and cocktails they had on the bar, but I guess that's my fault for being a broke Brit bong. But at the end of the KOF 15 Grand Finals, where Lagia showed the world the true might of the Kyokugenryu style with the most glorious fucking Rio sweep I've ever seen in my life, SNK at long last dropped a proper trailer for Fatal Fury City of the Wolves. And so while I wasn't able to be there in person, I'm at least able to shit out content faster than everyone that was. Haha, I win. In the most minute way possible. But not long after the trailers dropped, a bunch of new information came out about the game from its official site, news release, and a couple content creators who got early access to the game. So I'm going to go over all of it and just give my thoughts and see what kind of information I can glean from all the stuff that's out there. So you've probably seen my reaction video to the trailer already, and going in I was less than optimistic as someone who has been dooming about SNK for quite some time now. But I was blown away and actually got hype as fuck. So now I need to try and convert my excitement into intelligible words, so here goes. Let's get the most obvious thing out the way, the graphics. SNK finally has a game that I think the average stupid motherfucker fighting game tourist could look at and think, damn, this looks pretty sick. Game looks like Marvel 3 on crack cocaine. It's kind of odd to me because the game doesn't even look fundamentally different at all from the previous EVO teaser, but for some reason it just looks so much better to me now. So I'm trying to steer clear of recency bias and hype coma dribble, but I really do think this was an impressive showing. The game looks so damn sharp and smooth. Absolutely buttery fucking gameplay, man. The characters look so vibrant and clean, and the background stage is just coming alive with how packed full of detail it is. Now, is it perfect? No. And are these still built on KOF 15 models? Yes. And is it the art style I personally would have chosen for this game? No. But for what it is and what they're going for, I think they've nailed it. It might be lacking the sheer visual fidelity games like SF6, MK1 and Tekken 8 have, but SNK has worked within its limits to come up with a genuinely impressive result here. I think the biggest upgrade is the animation. Christ, this game moves well. The little shit like Rock's subtle head tilt grimace before Raging Storm, or Terry's jacket and hair blowing back during Buster Wolf are all such small flourishes, but make all the difference to me. It communicates a higher level of effort and attention to detail than we've been seeing from SNK. And the move effects, Jesus Christ, combos in this game feel like you're going on a goddamn roller coaster. We're a long way from Terry's Fantageyser and the crappy heat rippling effect that was everywhere in KOF 15. We've got snappy, colourful ass explosions now, just like back in the classic Fatal Furies. I think the only nitpicks I really have at the moment are the characters' shadows are really light compared to the harsh ones cast by the stage itself. And sometimes the blacks feel very crushed and the characters look a bit too contrasty. Like Terry's jacket is still looking a little orangey, and his jeans are super bright blue, but thankfully it's been toned down here a little bit compared to the EVO trailer. But broadly, the game is visually looking really great, which is the opposite of what I thought I would be saying. Jesus, what a timeline. So that's the graphics. Let's move on to the characters themselves. And in a twist I genuinely never saw coming, City of the Wolves is actually getting an English dub. Holy fuck! Well, this might not seem like such a big deal. To me, this is an admission by SNK that they're finally making good on their promises of stepping up their output and expanding their popularity, and an English dub is a great way of doing that. And make no mistake, this is not going to be a KOF 12 dub. This is not going to be, how'd you like that, Kyoku Tsunagi. They're actually doing the dub in the US this time. We've got Griffin Puatu as Rock Howard, who I know is Bosk from Street Fighter 6, Michael Schneider as Terry Bogard, who I know is the guy who says, "You going somewhere?" in Street Fighter 6, Suzy Yuang as Hotaru Futaba, who was Yuffie in the FF7 remake games, Jalen K. Castle as T-Zuck, who has done a whole bunch of work in anime, and Mia Page as a completely new character, Preacher. Or Preacher? I'm gonna say Preacher. Admittedly, I didn't recognize any of her roles, but she is very excited about playing her on Twitter, which is very sweet. So the English dub seems to be in very good hands, which I'm super happy about. And while I like everyone's voice that I've heard, I have to give extra props to Griffin Puatu as Rock. From what we've heard so far, oh man, he is so perfect. I really liked his performance as Bushk in Street Fighter 6, and I always thought that voice would work well for a character like Rock, and here we are. He really sounds like he's given it everything, his screams are on point, and the voice just really fits the character. What a cast. We'll talk about Hotaru and T-Zuck in a minute here, but first, yes, there is a newcomer to contend with. Preacher. I think it's Preacher. Preacher, Preacher, fuck. Whatever. One look at her in action and you can immediately tell she's a Muay Thai fighter. Well, according to her bio in SNK's news release about the game, she's Joe Higashi's star pupil and fights to further her academic research about complex and varied fighting styles. Which is, well, it's new I guess. Fight nerd, sure. Look, I'm gonna level with you guys. I don't like this design and I'm not very interested in this personality for her. She looks like Alice from Street Fighter 6 if she stopped sucking off clowns. She looks like Joe with pink hair and pronouns. Just not my taste at all. I would have much preferred they just bring over Quan from the original Garo 2 untouched. But I've seen a lot of people liking her, which is fine, you know, guys, character design is subjective. Whether you like or dislike Preacher, you're not wrong either way. You don't have to try and fight and force your viewpoint onto others, just agree to disagree. That being said, she's not even existed for 24 hours and I've already seen someone praise her while shitting on Joe. So maybe we'll need to form the Preacher Hate Brigade sooner than I expected. That goes double if she somehow replaces Joe. His design on the old teaser is so generic that it makes me worried he's been delegated to background NPC cuck territory. Please God, do not do Andy and Joe like that, SNK. I'll give Preacher this though, her moveset looks pretty fun. Lots of flashy kicks and colourful tornadoes and shit, it looks good. So there's her saving grace in my book. Also, a lot of people are speculating that she's trans. Apparently, Preacher is more commonly a boy's name, and her hair is pastely pink and blue as well. You know, she's from Thailand. So I don't know, maybe. Maybe she'll be the Fatal Fury Bridget and will trend every week on Twitter and COTW will get lots of attention from it. Kinda sounds like my silly Chonshu idea from the wishlist video, actually. I do hope she is trans though, because then SNK will officially be a woke ESG company and Kim Sama will have no more video games to play anymore. Anyway, enough about pre-cum, as the character trailer also showed off T-Zoc and Hotaru. Not as much to say about them, other than they've received slight redesigns to give them a bit of extra detailing. Their movesets look to be more or less intact from Mark the Wolves. The only thing I really picked up on is T-Zoc being able to combo into his command grab, and his throws being a lot more cinematic this time. And Hotaru's super is looking less like she's busting a fat-ass nut on her opponent's chest, which is probably for the best as Gato will be in this game. As for Terry and Rock seems to be an evolution of his KOF 15 playstyle with stuff like the Rising Tackle Break still being around, although he has been given some insane new sauce. First of all, we gained Geese's Hisho Nichiri... Geese's flying sawblade slicer, as well as his air fireball, which is so sick. And of course, he's now inherited Terry's power geyser. Rock Howard can use power geyser now. Fuck yeah. Speaking of Terry, watching his gameplay I'm actually reminded a lot of his Mark of the Wolves iteration more than his modern KOF ones. He's got his wreckers, feints and triple geyser back, as well as getting the diagonal rising tackle all the way back from the beta Garo 2. This might be the most saucy Terry has ever played to date. He even has round wave back, even though there's no lane switching. So I don't know what it's going to be used for, but round wave everybody! So that's the character movesets, but the first trailer actually revealed a lot about the game's universal mechanics, which content creator videos then followed up on. I won't go too in depth about the mechanics because you're better off just checking out J-Wong or Max for the real deep dive on the gameplay, but I'll give you the basic rundown. The Rev system is the centerpiece mechanic of the game. There's a gauge that allows you to utilize several unique actions. Rev Guard, which is basically just a push block. Rev Blow, which is pretty much the same as your TOP attack from Mark of the Wolves. Rev Arts, which are just EX special moves. And most interesting of all, Rev Excel, which is similar to KOF 13 drive cancels, where you can cancel EX specials into more EX specials. So combo routes in this game are going to get fucking wild. But with all these techniques granted to you by the rev meter, there's a limit to how much you can do at once. If you rev your cock too hard it breaks, and you'll be in a state called overheat for a little while. It's basically the same as burnout from Street Fighter 6. But in addition to the rev mechanics, almost every mechanic from the original Garo has been brought into City of the Wolves in one way or another. Just defense returns, which can now lead into hyper defense, which is basically the same as a red parry from Third Strike. TOP returns, now known as selective potential gear. Break moves, feints, combination attacks, dodges, it's all crammed into this game. Even some quality of life stuff has been introduced, like 2-button grabs. SNK has finally been dragged kicking and screaming into modern day. Also revealed in the news release is the inclusion of an equivalent to SF6's modern controls, called Smart Controls. This isn't something I'm going to use at all. In fact, the only time I ever used modern controls in Street Fighter 6 in my 400 hours of playtime was the first half hour of World Tour before I knew you could turn them off. But I do appreciate the inclusivity they provide, and hopefully they'll do a lot to make the game more accessible to a wider range of people. It's nice that they're giving us so much info about the mechanics already after KOF 15 was pretty coy about gameplay details for a while. There's also character bios in the news release, mostly just introducing the characters and recapping the events of Mark of the Wolves, but Terry's one actually gives us the first tiny hint about the game's story, and by that I mean it reveals that there's going to be another KOF tournament going on. I'm gonna be honest, considering SNK has been teasing that this game will have a bigger single-player story focus, this is kind of a red flag to me because fighting tournaments do not lend themselves well to telling good stories. It just screams arcade ladder to me, you know? I'm not saying it can't work, but two of my favourite classic SNK game stories don't have tournaments going on at all, those being AOF 1 and Fatal Fury 3. Also, I've neglected to talk about the stages until now. The trailers only showed one, so let's start with that. It's the same one from the EVO teaser, but we can see loads more of it now. As someone pointed out months before, one of the neon signs says Street Stars, which is a callback to Max Bar all the way back in Art of Fighting 1. That was Jack Turner's stage, and now that we can see more of the stage in City of the Wolves, we can see the fat bastard himself chilling out on a balcony. Nice to see him again. Even cooler though, is that on the left side of the stage we can see none other than King sitting at a table drinking wine as you get your ass beat. As cool as it is to see her in this new older design, I hope this isn't a hard deconfirm since King was one of my hopes for the roster. I scrounged around all the footage but I couldn't find any other cameos. There's a guy that kind of looks like Robert, and a girl that kind of looks like Leona, but it's extremely unlikely those are actual cameos. In Justin Wong's video we can see that the stage is actually called Bar Street Stars, so geographically this is probably the exact same location as Max Bar in AOF 1 and 2. In addition to characters, I'm honestly super excited to see all these Southtown locations get refreshed in City of the Wolves as well. Here's hoping for Fatal Fury 3 Sound Beach. Or imagine Hon Fu's FF3 stage overlooking the entire city. Christ, that'd be crazy. Or the Howard Arena. Shit, now I just want to make a stage wish list. Also in the content creator footage we get to see another stage, and Fatal Fury fans should be recognising this one as it's pretty clearly Dream Amusement Park, which was Raiden's stage in Fatal Fury 1. Note the pirate ship ride, the mountains and the merry-go-round. I'm kind of sad they nixed the evil fantasy tree and the Coles Jr. star, but you win some, you lose some. Doesn't seem to be any character cameos either, but it's a really nice looking stage anyhow. Really captures the energy of the original stage and just elevates it. Again, the constant attention to detail is just really expanding my faith in SNK on this one. Other small details we found out from the extra footage is how the verse screen looks, how some of the match win animations look, and we also got to see some round win animations and even post-round taunts just like the original Garo. One more tiny thing I really appreciate is that the pre-fight dialogues are actually lower FPS than the regular gameplay, similar to Guilty Gear, and it just makes the animation look a bit more cinematic and less uncanny like the mocap in KOF 15. There's also an esports.gg interview with City of the Wolves director Hayato Konya that doesn't reveal anything major but does give us an interesting look into the devs' mindsets. I was particularly interested by the character section where Konya says stuff like, Rock and Terry, people probably know them from King of Fighters, but they're different in Fatal Fury. They don't look similar, they don't really look the same, they have a different demeanour. The Terry in King of Fighters is more happy-go-lucky, and he's a little bit more tough in this one. We want players to know these aren't static characters, they are connected with each other, and that's how they move the story forward. Dude, fuck yes. It's so gratifying to hear the director of the game saying stuff like this. My confidence in this game really couldn't be higher at the moment, which is a little scary. Makes me think that the next thing they announce will deal a massive blow to my hype somehow. So Andy Bogard is training Hoku Tomorrow in Mark of the Wolves. I can't say what's going on in this one, but there's a character interaction. Does anyone else feel like things are looking a little scary for Andy and Joe at the moment? Very basic redesigns that don't really look like they'll be fighting, no shows for the voice clips in the EVO teaser, and now Joe is a disciple in the game. Leaving out Andy and Joe while bringing back Mai and Billy would be such a boneheaded mistake that I'm scared that's what they've gone for. But regardless, that's the bulk of everything covered. I just want to quickly talk about the Your Journey Starts Here motto in the announcement trailer. This could hint at a multitude of things. Maybe it's a reference to the game's story mode, although what's weird is the very personal phrasing. It almost makes it sound like the game is going to pull a Street Fighter World Tour and have a campaign centered around a player avatar character. While I think an open world type story mode would be absolutely sick, I don't want them to do avatars. City of the Wolves is wrapping up the narrative that began in Mark of the Wolves, so I'd much rather we focus on and play as Rock and Terry since their stories aren't over yet. It could be that Your Journey Starts Here is more meant to invite new players to try out the series for the first time, which seems likely considering the other strides SNK has taken to make the game more appealing to newcomers. I'm sure my dumbass is going to notice a ton of things I missed, or think of a million more things to talk about once I upload this, but for now I think I've covered all the main talking points. Once again, I'm extremely impressed with SNK this time and I'm very happy with the direction the game is going. God, it feels good to be gassing up this company for once. Holy shit, man. But SNK, you cannot fumble this. You have a shot here. A shot to finally appeal to the fickle fighting game masses and scoop up a bunch of KOF tourists and finally get them to tap into an SNK game for real. City of the Wolves passes the eye test, the gameplay looks fire, you have an English dub, all the pieces are finally in place, so don't fuck it up. Don't do the same hands-off ass marketing that the previous games had. Do not release this game with broken ass matchmaking and twiddle your thumbs for a year while the game slowly dies. Shove this shit in people's faces, introduce them to your great characters and show them how cool Fatal Fury is. The announcement trailer for COTW last night was the first time since probably the Sam Show 2019 reveal where I felt like an SNK trailer had some real flair, style and confidence, and I can only hope the rest of the game's hype cycle keeps that same energy. Good shit SNK, keep it up. And I'll of course continue to cover this game as more info trickles out, so look forward to it. As for other videos, I've got the next WTF installment in the works, which I'm going to get back to once the City of the Wolves hype blows over, so look forward to that. But that's all for this video, peace.